Today we're going to check out a collaboration between two big guns in the mechanical keyboard industry, Ducky and Varmilo. I truly found this interesting that these two companies would make a keyboard together, Ducky being from Taiwan and Varmilo from China. But here it is, this is the Ducky / Varmilo Miya Pro Sakura edition. The box has some nice pinky artwork on it, and inside the box we have the keyboard itself, a user manual and warranty card. Now this stuff is pretty cool. We get a pink wire keycap puller, a pink USB-C cable with matching cable strap, and we also get an extra blank white spacebar and a lovely escape keycap. And here it is, and they aren't messing around with their Sakura theme. This is quite the pink keyboard, but not to the extent of some of their older stuff or like the Philco pink keyboard. What I can say straight away is that this is essentially a plastic case version of the well-known Varmilo VA68M, which is made from aluminium. So the case being made from pink plastic is the major difference. It's a nice, slightly textured surface which doesn't pick up any fingerprints and stays reasonably clean, and it's a pretty pastel-y, paley kind of pink. It keeps that simplistic rectangular design of the VA68 with pretty minimal 5mm bezels. It is a high profile design, so the key switches aren't exposed, and looking at the side profile, it has a slight inclination to it with a slightly curved top edge. Back on top, and this is regarded as a 65% keyboard and has 68 keys. So it's very much like a 10 keyless keyboard but without the function row on top. But we also lose a few dedicated nav cluster keys and the dedicated menu key. However, of course with smaller keyboards we have these keys on the secondary function layer with the F1 to F12 keys on the number row, menu on the right control, and the rest of the nav cluster on these keys here. And this allows us to have a much more compact keyboard, giving us more space on our desk. However, Varmilo's approach on a 65% keyboard isn't the most compact. It's only one column shorter than a standard 10 keyless keyboard, and this is because they have kept a 4-key nav cluster in the top right, rather than squeezing everything together like on the Tada 68 and many other 65% keyboards which are one column shorter than this. Although one advantage of this is that the keycaps are completely standard and are very easily replaceable. Although I would argue that you wouldn't want to replace these keycaps anyway. And these are indeed nice. These are pretty much cherry profile keycaps which are shorter than the typical OEM kind and are generally preferred in the enthusiast community. The keycaps are dye sublimated with this kind of hot pink coloured legends, so they'll be quite durable over time, and the legends like other Varmilo keyboards are simple and slightly italic. I like that they haven't gone all out pink and have only kept the modifiers pink, which is the same colour as the case. The spacebar is a nice touch and is also dye sublimated, looking quite sharp and clean. Although we do get that extra blank white spacebar in the box. Unfortunately, the lighting does bleed through the pink keycaps, which doesn't look too great, but the white keycaps are pretty solid but will bleed with the room lights off. The lighting is a different kind of pink to the case and also to the keycap legends, so really it's like there's 3 shades of pink on the keyboard, and this just acts as an underglow for the keycaps, as of course these aren't backlit keycaps. And the lighting does shine off that pink backplate, really accentuating that pinkness. There's a couple of different effects which is always a bit of fun, and these are on the Q to square bracket keys via the FN key. And there are 4 brightness levels for all, but you can't turn it all the way down to off. So to turn off the lighting, we have to press function and X. We can also make custom lighting profiles with FN and tab, with 5 profiles on the 1 to 5 keys. Probably the most annoying thing with this lighting is that the page up or page down LEDs cannot be turned off. Page up signifies that we are using the number row, and page down signifies that we are using the function row instead. Taking off the keycaps, and these are made from 1.4mm thick PBT plastic and have a slightly rough texture to them, which should be quite shine resistant. Looking through the manual, I saw that it said there was software on the Varmilo website, which I thought was odd, because I can't recall them ever doing this before, but it's on their Chinese website and it's just the Miya Pro on the list. And I did not find anything related to the Miya on the Ducky website. For the key switches, I have Cherry MX Silent black switches, but the other variants are of course available. And we can also see our pink rectangular LEDs. Interestingly, these are north-facing LEDs, meaning that they are on the top side of the switch, and this can result in the LEDs and keycaps clashing, but it's not the case here as they're perfectly fine. But back to the key switches, and these are pretty much Cherry MX Blacks, but the silent version. I've covered the MX Silent switches in the past in detail, but essentially they have these dampeners on the stems which, as suggested, dampen the upstroke and downstroke of the key switch. Being blacks, these are a heavy linear switch, meaning that there is no tactile bump and obviously no click. And as we can hear, they are nice and quiet, perfectly suitable for any office environment. MX Silent switches aren't known to be smooth, and yeah, they're kind of scratchy, but you kind of get distracted by that unique dampening feeling. If you think they may be too heavy, then there's also the silent red key switches, but I think these are fine and I personally find them enjoyable to use. However, some may find them mushy in comparison to the standard linear sharpness. Another thing that Varmilo has been getting right with all their recent keyboards is the perfect stabilizers. These have zero rattle to them and are generously lubed, and this is especially important for silent key switches because I have had silent switch keyboards in the past which have had rattly stabilizers which completely ruins the board. On the bottom we have a couple of flat rubber feet for non-slip and two flip up feet that are also rubber tipped. It's also a nice touch that the rubber is pink as well, and this again is exactly the same design as the VA68. In the middle we have our metal ID plate, and it seems to have been manufactured by Varmilo in China, which makes complete sense. And finally on the rear we have our USB-C port. There's no screws on this keyboard, so to take it apart we have to release the plastic tabs. Here's the plastic top shell, and it's not too bad at about 2.5mm thick, and it's of course pretty flimsy when it's on its own. The bottom shell has some familiar foam on the bottom, which does make a big difference in how the keyboard feels and sounds, making it feel more solid, full, and satisfying to type on rather than hollow, which can be felt on other keyboards. And there's a bit of ribbing on the bottom surface for reinforcement, and Varmilo are still using the good old screw-in feet, so they can be removed and I guess replaced. The mounting plate is made from 1.5mm thick steel, which gives the keyboard its bit of weight, and it seems to be powder coated in pink. The PCB is very clean with perfect solder joints, but more interestingly, this is branded as a Varmilo PCB. There is no Ducky branding on here whatsoever. So that brings up the question, what did Ducky even do? It clearly just looks like a plastic version of the Varmilo VA68 or 69M, Everything about it is the same. The keycaps are definitely Varmilo's, and both the box and ID plate on the bottom of the keyboard say that it has been made in China by this company here. So it is a bit of a weird collaboration to me, especially since it's pretty much known as the Ducky Miya Pro. But disregarding all that, this is a great keyboard. The build quality is great and is what you expect of Varmilo. While the enclosure is plastic, it still has the internal steel plate. It has great quality PBT keycaps and great stabilizers to accompany the silent key switches. We get that great compact 65% form factor, and I bet if you can use a TKL, you can use this no problem. It is also cheaper than the VA68M by a good amount, but if you're seeking metal, then they are basically the same keyboard. In terms of off-the-shelf ready-to-go 65% keyboards, there isn't a great deal of competition. The main one of this class being the Leopold FC660M, which is another great choice. If you can go custom and build your own, there's a bunch of options, but I guess the Sakura theme will play a big role in whether someone will get it or not. There's not many keyboards that look like this, and it is special. I've also seen the new Panda theme version, so perhaps there may be even more themes in the future. So it's nice to see a bit of variety in the pre-built market, and perhaps this can make a nice gift to someone.